There's a line that Gary Vaynerchuk repeats very often. If you don't love the process, you'll lose. And not because the destination isn't exciting, but because the destination is just a moment. The process is your entire life. And in our world, mortgage, insurance, financial services, people often burn out not from the work, but from the way they relate to the work. A lot of us live in a constant state of, well, I'll be happy when, or when the deal closes, when the month ends, when the rankings update, when the income goes up, when the stress is gone. But there's a problem with destination-based living. The finish line keeps moving, and you hit the goal, and 10 minutes later, your mind creates a new one. And if the only joy that you have comes at that peak, well, then you spend 99% of your time climbing unhappily. High performers, though, who sustain long-term growth, they don't operate that way. They enjoy the climb. They've learned to enjoy the process of becoming someone stronger. And they treat the journey not as the obstacle, but as the point. Now, this isn't like romantic. This is strategic. Psychology calls it intrinsic attachment. So when you link meaning to the action itself, well, then you reduce the stress. You increase the consistency and you perform at a much higher level and for longer periods at a time. Gary Vee says it simply, you can't fake loving the game. And here's what that means in more practical terms. You usually have a couple of choices every single day. You can either chase results and then often feel more empty until you actually reach them, or you can attach identity to the repetition, to the behavior, to the daily building blocks that move you forward regardless of the speed. Now, loving the process doesn't mean you love every single task. It means you love who you become because of the tasks. There's freedom in that. Freedom from comparison, freedom from impatience, and freedom from the constant sense that you're behind. Because when the process becomes the reward, well, the destination is the proof. Okay, so how do you make that shift? Well, let's make this real. Start paying attention to some small wins. The quick follow-up that you almost skipped, or the conversation that you led with additional presence. The block of work that you finished cleanly. These moments, they're the journey. That's the game. Okay, next, detach from the scoreboard. Just long enough to build momentum again. Now, scoreboards matter, but you can't run a marathon just staring at your watch. You run it one step, one breath, 1 mile at a time. Then finally, build some joy into the reps. Not like dopamine hits, but identity hits. So, I'm the kind of person who always follows through, or I'm the kind of person who grows daily. I'm the kind of person who builds consistently. That identity turns the journey into something you own, not something you endure. And then progress becomes enjoyable, inevitable, and work becomes meaningful. And most importantly, the destination becomes a milestone, not the meaning of your life. So today, choose a task that you normally rush through to get it over with, and then slow it down a little bit. Bring presence to it. Enjoy the repetition instead of just the finish line. So you let the journey become part of the reward. And that is your Boundless Daily.